Everybody you admire that has done something significant has more stories of failure than success.
John Chibuzo Enelamah is a widely traveled apostolic leader, social reformer, pastor, teacher, mentor, discipler of men and women, and author of several books. John's global life purpose is to assist individuals to find their purpose, strengthen the local church globally, and to help nations transform. He achieves all of these by preaching the gospel of the kingdom, thereby spreading the fires of revival and reformation. John's drive is to see God's will manifested in the lives of people, and that men and women all over the world should come to the knowledge of God's truth. He has preached in countries, cities, and places all over the world with one message, and that is the gospel of the kingdom. His primary driving force is to live a life that contributes to the fulfillment of the Great Commission. John is the president/founder of the Kingdom Apostolic Revival Ministries, KARM. He's also the founding pastor of End Times Revival Ministries, ERM, and a co-founder of the Apostles in the Marketplace Network. John is the host of the radio program Lessons from the School of Life. He and his amazing wife, Ngozi, also run the Institute for Success in Marriage program, which hosts the Marriage Works and Love Works sessions for both the married and singles respectively. John, a graduate of quantity surveying from the prestigious Obafemi Awolowo University, Ile-Ife, Nigeria, obtained his ministerial license from Spirit Life Bible College, Irvine, California, and is a fellow of the Aspen Global Leadership Network. Get set to receive the word of God from the mouth of his servant with Jesus' joy in your heart. Join me as we make welcome the ministry of John Chibuzo Enelamah.
What should you do when you're single? Prepare yourself. How should you prepare yourself? Be the kind of spouse you would like to marry yourself. Be the kind of person you would like to marry. So the standards you set for a future spouse, become that standard. Take time. One of the major reasons for failure in marriage is lack of preparation. People use words like compatibility. They say the marriage is not making it, they're not compatible. God doesn't think in compatibility. He doesn't believe in that. Marriages that work do not work because the partners are compatible. It works because the partners work extremely hard on themselves, not even on the marriage. Compatibility means to like your spouse. When people like each other, they say they're compatible. Likeness and love are not the same. The best marriages are marriages where people were friends and they got married. Friendship. What I mean by friendship is that I like you. I don't know, I just like the way you behave and that. But when you start with love, and which you can distinguish from infatuation and confusion, it becomes complex. But so when you say compatible, it's like, I like my partner, we're compatible. Why? I like her. But the point is that it's not like saying, you say they're not compatible, they don't like the same food. That's not the basis of marriage. Marriage is hard work. When you see couples smiling, if they're genuinely smiling, somebody is working hard or both are working extremely hard. Everybody is carrying some baggage. Have you wondered how you feel when you're not happy? Imagine somebody living with you when you're not happy, you're grumpy, you wake up, you don't want to talk to anybody, and you're married. And your wife says, good morning. You say, good morning to you. What's the problem again? I beg. Those things happen in all marriages. But the truth is that marriage is hard work. But the hard work starts when you're single. To work hard on yourself. The hardest work on earth is working on yourself. It's deciding that I'm going to work hard on myself. Before we even jump further, just remember that the marriages that people that work and make it are marriages that the partners see their marriage as a project that cannot fail. In other words, a man goes out of his way to say, I'm going to make my spouse happy at my own cost. I just find out what makes my wife or my husband happy, I'll do it. But it's give and take, but it's not a place where you count, I've done so much, you have done so little. When you talk like that and think like that, you're going to fail. You can't say, look, I've given so much of my, you have given so little. It doesn't work. It's hard work, it's sacrifice. But let's go back to being single. Because for those of us tonight who are single and desire to marry, just remember this. You have to enjoy being single and enjoy your single life. Because if you marry well, you will never be single again. Because many single people want to marry and many married people want to be single. So you have to avoid that. You have to avoid, and the only way to avoid that is to enjoy the seasons of your life. Live out your seasons. Being single is a blessing. Being single is being single-eyed. It's taking time to prepare for life. Don't spend all your single life thinking about whom you're going to marry. Eventually you'll marry and you start clocking 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, and don't let the devil deceive you about sex. You know, about this thing called sex and intimacy that is such a big deal, and they are thinking, you know, that when am I going? And people are saying, look, if we're going, let's check each other out. Yeah, when you marry, you're going to have more than enough time in a normal situation. So just relax and calm down and don't be deceived. Someone has said to me that every time you see a couple in a car and they are not talking to each other, they are husband and wife, if they are laughing, they are girlfriend and boyfriend. No commitments, no responsibility. You know, so it sounds funny, but again, it comes back. The lack of preparation is not the only reason people have problems, but it's one of the major reasons. The statistics of marriage lets us know that first marriages fell about 50% on the average in America. Second marriage is about 60%. Third marriage is 70%. Marriages don't get better because people remarry. When people remarry, they are carrying extra baggage. It's worse because, first of all, you have memories, you have hurts, you have issues, you have children. So it's not easier. It's not. So don't think I'm going to try do my first attempt, second attempt. No, it doesn't work that way. So let's summarize being single. That it's a blessing to be single. Settle it in your heart. Enjoy it. One of the things I've said, and I say all the time, is that when you're single, love yourself. Practice self-love. Take yourself out and eat. Just relax. Just one life to live. Enjoy it. Ask yourself, what makes me angry? What makes me happy? What are my strengths? What are my weaknesses? What has God called me to do? Answer those basic and fundamental questions. Who am I? What destiny has God prepared for me? We are his workmanship, created for good works, which God has preordained. None of us is an accident of nature. You are created on purpose. You will never have entered the earth space except you have a purpose and a destiny. These are fundamental things that rule our lives. It's not so much about how your net worth, how rich you become. Remember that all these things have their place. There's so much more to life than materialism. There's so much more. So much more. You have to go beyond that. You have to know what is a tool and what the real deal is. There are things that God gives us, abilities, strengths, in order to live life on earth. But don't confuse that with the life itself. Don't confuse that. You have to understand that God has a purpose for every life. God has a purpose. The person you eventually marry is, in God's thinking, is an integral part of his purpose for your life. It's not a casual decision. Now, of course, you can look at it and say, is there only one person reserved for me to marry? Well, those are things that are left in the prerogative of God to answer. I don't need to give my brain too much headache. But the important is that don't marry casually. Because it's for a lifetime in the Christian way. Now, can people divorce? The answer is yes. It depends on the condition, but it's a subject that is so complex. It's not something that the average preacher wants to get involved with. What God has joined together, let no man put aside. What about if you say, I'm the Chief Justice of Nigeria, I commanded the breakdown? Well, I pity you on the day of judgment. When time is no more, when you stand before God, how do you stand before God? So I tell lawyers, man, be careful. Don't use Nigerian law because the president will disappear completely. Nobody's going to defend you on that day. Be extremely careful because you're dealing with God here, remember. So as humans, we can make all kinds of assumptions, but be careful. And don't go the American way of, redefinition of marriage. The Bible says that in the beginning, he made them male and female. Understand that God does not change. Those fundamentals cannot shift from God's realm. All the shiftings happens on the side of man with severe consequences. Not just the disease, not just the depravity, the fact that the country is going down. Look at America as a nation. Look at the kind of issues they have. Look at the gun issues, shooting in schools, all those kind of things. Those are choices they made 50 years ago. They are reaping them, and they're going to reap more in the years to come. Am I a prophet of them? No. You can't violate God's laws without severe consequences. There are issues about life. There are laws. When you say no prayer in school, it sounds like very casual decision. When you take away prayer, people complain about the Nigerian church. I'm a Christian, you're a Christian. Have you ever wondered what Nigeria would look like without the church? Just take the church out of Nigeria. Can you imagine this country? So that should give you hope that you're part of the people that are keeping Nigeria together. Take away prayer from this country. Take away godliness, righteousness. Just even if you are struggling in your righteousness, just take that struggle away. What kind of a country are we going to have? So let's be careful. Being single is a blessing. And then let's progress a bit and then talk about courtship for a moment. So what do we mean by courtship? And I started comparing dating and courtship. Let me say something, that dating, you can define it in many ways. But what makes it a challenge is that finding whom to marry is one of the hardest decisions you can make in life. The reason is that, if you buy a shirt, you can change it. Whether it's Thomas Pink, any kind of shirt, you can just go to shop, but you don't like it, you can go back and argue your way. If they don't like it, buy another one. But marriage is not quite like that. Even if you decide to do it over and over again, it has consequences. The Bible uses the word espoused or betrothed. In its primary meaning, it means engagement. In the New Testament, espouse means to give a present as a token of engagement. It means that two people are engaged. In courtship, the best way to describe it is that if you were a Christian coming from Christian values and you started to work with somebody, you met somebody, however, depending on the church and the configuration and so on and so forth, the objective is marriage, a relationship about marriage. The moment you're not getting married, you don't have a relationship. It's not like we're just friends and this friendship can last for 5 years. What's the plan? No plan. We're just friends. God doesn't trust you enough for that kind of friendship. I shared a story. I met a friend who was a member of the church and I pastored him. Then he went abroad, did a master's, then came back. And then I saw him suddenly somewhere. He said, "Oh, Pastor John, how are you? I have this shop, I have that shop. Meet my friend," and show me his friend. And I said, "Nice guy, nice girl." I said, "So how long have you known that?" 7 years. 7 years. What have you been doing for 7 years? Friends. So in my mind, I started thinking, I wonder what this girl tells her parents at home and her friends. For people think maybe she even, not just only married, maybe has children. And this guy is, in quotes, is my friend. But let's just say he's goofing around. It doesn't sound normal. Because what's the objective? If you had a sister, would you attach your sister to a man for 7 years? No agenda. No wedding card, no reception, no baby, no naming ceremony, no babies, nothing. It doesn't make a lot of sense. And then if you know human nature, it's difficult to be that friendly and not be sleeping together. Why? Nobody is that strong. Nobody is, if you knew yourself, you'd be afraid of yourself. People say, "Why don't you trust me?" I don't trust you because I don't trust me. Does it make sense? Yes. Listen, we are not strong in ourselves. This is something that is so natural. It's like leaving my brother and friend here with food on the table and say, "You can't eat it." And then he gets hungry and say, "Can't eat it." How can you not eat it? I mean, damn the consequences. Eat the food. They beat you up, but the food is in you. The thing is that the way we are created to love and be loved. Intimacy is natural for man. The way it's been presented, there's nothing wrong with sexuality, intimacy. It's just the context. God's context is responsibility. Don't get intimately involved with another person without responsibility, because you will get pregnant. And if you do, the person is likely going to check out. And if they check out, you are a single mother with a child. Society will decay if you have that multiplied. Americans, they make single motherhood to be so beautiful, but they're failing. It's a joke. Every child needs a mother and a father. Every child. I have my children living abroad. I'm telling you that a child is designed to grow up with father and mother every day. My presence at home, I don't need to talk. I just show up. My teenage son is goofing around with my wife. I just show up. I don't talk. He just sits up. It's the nature of a father. You don't need to talk. I mean, you have dignity, you have honor, you have authority. You are even tall. I mean, you just show up. He just shuts up. Every child needs that. Every girl needs a father's love before a husband's love. To put them, you need your father to love you and prepare you for love. That you don't go to University of Lagos looking for love. You know you're loved. You know you're protected. Does that make sense? That's what God designed. These are divine designs. Look, when our lives are not complete, we can tell where there are deficiencies. These are roles assigned to us by God. Marriage is a wonderful thing for those people that are meant to marry who choose to marry. If you choose to marry, it's a beautiful thing, but you have to prepare for it. You have to take time to prepare. Every church, you have a marriage preparatory class for those who are not married. The reason is that we live in an age where, just imagine becoming a doctor without training. And just say that, I feel inspired to be a doctor, I feel called to be a doctor, I feel anointed to be a doctor, I feel equipped to be a doctor, I feel mentally enabled to be a doctor, and therefore I practice medicine. What are you going to have? Quacks. Think about it for a moment. Medical school is 6 long years. In Nigerian system, housemanship, youth service, then you're still just a general practitioner. You have no specialty. In fact, some people, you're not even a doctor yet. Then you now start looking for specialization. You go to school and you keep educating yourself. That's why doctors are smart. It's a lot of learning. What about legal practice? Becoming a lawyer by inspiration. Writing laws by inspiration. You can't marry by inspiration. You have to marry by knowledge. There are things, when the Bible says that he made them male and female, that's a university right there. The way a woman understands and the way a man understands, they're not the same. People fight at home because as a man, I'm trying to compel my wife to reason with me. Your wife is not meant to reason with you, believe me. Think about it. She's not logical. Let me explain. She's perceptive. She's not going to give you 7 reasons for going on vacation. We just need to go on vacation. Why? I just feel we should go. You are saying, why should we go? He said, we should just go. And you're thinking, these are the reasons why we cannot go. The economy is bad, dollar is bad. He said, well, we need to rest our body. We need to travel. The point I'm making is that men can give logical reasons, and they do it all the time. A woman is intelligent. She might be logical. I'm not saying she's not logical, but she doesn't give logical reasons all the time why something is so. Let me give you an example so we don't laugh over it. The average man, if you have the average person, no matter how worldly they were before they were married, and a woman is hanging around them and maybe with a motive, in quotes, that doesn't mean she's a bad person. It doesn't mean that the man will know immediately. But your wife, whether you call it jealousy, whatever you call it, there is no love without jealousy. Love without jealousy is not real. Because God is a jealous God because he loved Israel. So let's not be confused about jealousy and love. She can pick up things and say, this is not right, this is not right. And you're thinking, why? The reason is that he made them male and female. We're different. You cannot make your spouse reason exactly like you. Communication is learned in marriage. When you say you're speaking to your wife on the average, you're listening and she's talking. I know that there are people that talk more, but the point I'm making is that to make a woman feel loved, just listen to her. I've shared this before. I said, when I first got married and my wife would come home, tell me stories about work and what happened, and I'll try to analyze it and say, but you shouldn't have done this. He said, look, the problem now is you're my headache here. It took me 5 years to understand that she just wanted me to agree with her that she's never wrong. The boss is wrong, the office is wrong, she's right. But when I started telling her, why did you do this? She said, look, you're giving me headache. Even when we are preparing to marry, I was asking all kinds of questions. She said, look, I have headache, just take me home, I didn't understand. I tell the story of my younger brother. I grew up in a large family where you have to be aggressive to survive. Even for food, you eat. Some people are going to the kitchen, they are eating. The food never gets to the dining table, so you have to. So you just survive. So, if you grew up with that survival instinct, even the way you talk, you shout. Nobody talks normally, It's like, Hey, Eze, come here. That's how we talked. My younger brother said when he got married, the wife just said, look, when you talk, you're giving me a headache. So I just noticed that my youngest brother was just now speaking in whispers all the time. Now, I know he's a redeemed pastor, so I felt maybe he's like the Geo style. But he now said, look, my wife said I was giving her a headache, so I had to change the way I spoke. And years have passed, he's remained like that. He had to change to survive. Because the wife said, look, we're not fighting, just take it easy. But that's how I grew up. We're always fighting. We are men. But when you take this, the Bible says he made them male and female. Very simple. But you'll be surprised how many homes have broken down because of not understanding that he made them male and female.